Hey everybody, it's Scott Beebe, the Business on Purpose platform here in the low country of, low country of South Carolina. You can see our little South Carolina thing. And here on the back porch this afternoon, wanted to answer this question on Facebook Live. We got this question this morning from a small business owner, and I thought it'd be super helpful to be able to answer this question for you. So many small business owners catch themselves, the old statement, working in their business and not working on their business. And a lot of times that frustration comes because they don't know, am I an owner? Am I a CEO? What am I doing? What is all this about? And if I'm an owner, what roles and responsibilities should I be having? And if I am a CEO, what roles and responsibilities should I be having? How much time should I be devoting to each one of those roles? Do I even need roles for those? Because so many small business owners, we go into this and we just start kind of doing what needs to be done, right? And so we start cranking it out, doing the best that we possibly can, what needs to be done. And so I thought we would answer this question on Facebook, what we got to answer this morning on our group coaching call, because it was such a palpable and such an important question to be able to ask. So we've got to ask ourselves the difference. What's the difference between an owner and a CEO? The thing we've got to realize is there is a difference. Like there is a palpable difference between those two things. So when I call you a small business owner, that's different from me telling you that you're the CEO or the president or the managing director, however you want to call yourself, the head honcho of the small business that you own. So as an owner of the small business, your role is different than the CEO of a small business. All right. So here's a massive difference. Owners work on their business, whereas CEOs work in their business. All right. Owners work on their business, whereas CEOs work in their business, because they're the same person. That's what creates the confusion. And so we look back and say, well, a second, if I'm the same person, and as the CEO I'm supposed to be working in the business, but as an owner I'm supposed to be working on the business, there's a conflict there because we're the same person. So what do I do with that? Well, let's kind of draw this out a little bit in terms of what an owner actually does. So an owner, in their role, flies 60,000 feet above the business. All right? So imagine you're in an airplane and you're flying around 60,000 feet above the business. If a fire breaks out on the ground, can you put it out? No. As an owner, you can't physically go put the fire out if a fire breaks out on the ground. If the weeds are too tall, if the grass needs cutting, if the winds are too strong down beneath, can you do anything about that? No. In fact, you can't even really see it. So if a small fire broke out and you were at this height, this altitude of this picture here, you would look down and go, man, not much I can do about that. I hope we've got the processes in place on the ground to be able to handle that fire. I hope we've got the processes in place on the ground to be able to handle those high winds. I hope we've got the processes in place on the ground to get the grass mowed. But as an owner, there's nothing you can do about it. All right? So you got to understand the difference. Even though you're the same person, you got to have time set aside to where you can do owner things. All right? So owner things, when you're flying at this high, what you can do is you can actually see trends that are going on, right? So I can see the full picture of everything. Whereas if you're on the ground, you can't see the full picture of everything. If you're on the ground, typically you can only see 4 or 5 or 6 rail cars at a time. But if you're flying 60,000 feet, you can see the whole train track system, right, above everything. So as an owner, you've got to have time set aside to where you can see the entire system and to see how the entire system works, how it functions, and then allow the folks on the ground to be able to go day-to-day maintenance of the system and what that looks like. Oh, there's a train track out. Well, that's where your on-the-ground folks go to help that. But as a business owner, you fly 60,000 feet. So you're looking at trends, projections, flows, all of these sorts of nuances that you can see at a very high level, but you can't do anything about them structurally. That's where the CEO comes in. And the CEO hovers 2 feet above the business or 5 feet above the business. I always wanted to be able to use a hoverboard picture, and this is a perfect placement for the hoverboard picture. And so a CEO literally hovers at 5 feet above the business, all right? And so you're floating, right? You're agile, you're able to maneuver, you're able to go back and forth, but you're right there on the ground to help provide leadership, oversight, accountability, inspiration, motivation to the folks that are cutting the grass, that are trimming the trees, that are dealing with the influences of the winds that are coming through, knowing that your owner is 60,000 feet up above and can't do anything about it. So when do you ever connect? The owners and the CEOs, when do you ever get together? And see, this is why the CEO is responsible for the day-to-day, whereas the owner is responsible for the big picture. So make sure you get that. The CEO is responsible for the day-to-day, but the owner is responsible for the big picture. Very, very important to understand how all that plays out, okay? And so the big picture, your owner's flying around, seeing all the trends, the trajectories, the wind flows, the movements, all of that, and the CEO is hovering at 5 feet, able to lead the on-the-ground operations, and your business needs you for both. Which is why your weekly schedule is so crucial, because you've got to have time set aside for meeting structures to be able to have those conversations. So you as the CEO need to set aside time to sit down with you, the owner, to have the conversations. Hey, owner, this is what's going on the ground. Hey, CEO, this is what's going on from a high-level, big-picture trend standpoint. I'll give you one great picture of this. We had an architect in London. His name is Stuart, great guy, and he has this architecture firm. He's a very small practice, and one day a week for 45 minutes, he would dress up, literally in a nice outfit. He would walk down to the local coffee shop there in London, and right as he was opening the door, he would look back, and he would look back at his perceived Bentley, because he said, you know, as an owner, that's what I would picture an owner to drive, is a Bentley. And he didn't really have one there, but in his mind he did, because this was an owner's meeting. And then he would open the door of the coffee shop, and he would get coffee, but he would also get sparkling water. Because he says owners drink sparkling water, they don't drink flat water. And so he'd get his sparkling water, his coffee, his imaginary Bentley's outside. He's dressed up, and literally for 45 minutes he would walk through a specified agenda, just focusing on owner-level things. Things like long-term projections, long-term trends, where you want to go from a vision perspective. So, you know, we talk about vision story all the time. Where does the vision story get implemented into the business? It gets implemented through the owner. Reviewed through the owner, implemented through the CEO. Could be the same person where you both own the business and you're leading the business day to day, but you need to understand that these are two totally different things, and they need to be treated accordingly. I hope that makes sense. If you're a heroic small business owner, I want to tell you thank you for what you do. I also want you to take a few minutes and stop and think, what's the difference between me and as an owner and me as a CEO? And you know what I'd really challenge you to do is write those things out on a sheet of paper. Create a simple little role. Hey, as an owner, these are the things that I do. As a CEO, these are the things I do. And to begin to hold yourself accountable every single week with a meeting structure. Set an owner's time with a meeting structure to be able to be held accountable to those things that are so crucial and important. Hey, mybusinessonpurpose.com is where we've got all the resources to be able to help you. We've got a free podcast there for you. We've got all sorts of resources, and I just want to encourage you in those resources to be able to go back and just anything that we can do to help you. We want to be able to serve you. That's what we do. We liberate small business owners just like you from their chaos. And so if you go to mybusinessonpurpose.com, check that out. I hope you enjoyed the new little format here. We've got some cool little stuff where we can actually bring some things in. I'll show you here just for a second. We can bring some cool little text overlay and say, have a happy Thursday. Hang tight, wait for it. We're going to get you some color in here, and there you go. Have a happy Thursday. Well, I don't know where it went, but what the heck? Who cares? All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for joining me today. I hope that helps between the owner and the CEO. And take that, use it, embed it in your business. Oh, there it is. Have a happy Thursday. So wherever you're at today, whatever business you're trying to build, thank you. Thank you for taking the courageous decision to build that. And we'll see you back here on our Facebook Live. Check us out on our YouTube channel and go to mybusinessonpurpose.com where we can serve and support you there. Have a great day.